Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dolan from Mullingar in Mullingar, going live on Easter Sunday, and hope you're all keeping well. No matter where you are in the world, if you're downtown Mullingar or if you are anywhere else in the world. Now, we had a plan this morning that we would like to chat to Denise Cullinane, who is living in Melbourne, Australia. And we were very we were very unsuccessful in getting through to each other. So what I was thinking was, if I went live on Facebook, and there's an application down the bottom of the page. If you hit that, there's two people, and if you hit that, we'll be able to chat to Denise. Now, as I said, it's worth a try, and as I said, it's Easter Sunday, the 4th of April. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see, is she available to chat to us? And we've loads of people looking in there as well. Let me see now. No sign of her at the moment anyway. But she's in Australia, so it could take a little bit of time for Denise to come on board. And the volume will go down as well, folks. So let's keep an eye out for her. And everyone, hello to you all looking in today. Claire Dunn, how are you? Oh, thanks very much for the birthday celebrations. Thank you. And who else have we got? We got Rebecca Robinson wishing us a happy birthday. Thank you very much indeed. And Mavis Bottomley is looking in there as well. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled here for Denise that's looking in from Australia. And let's see if there is any sign of Denise. Everyone else, we've got a lot of people looking in here that we could talk to. There she is. Now, excellent. So we've invited her on board. And let's see, we've added her there. And let's see, will this work? Hello, Anne Kavanagh. Thank you very much for myself and Maggie. So yes, all Denise has to do now is hit the link, and she will be able to speak to us live from Melbourne, Australia. Fair play, fair play. This is great now. If this works out, we are blessed. Okay, and let's see. I'll turn off this stuff as well. I have more stuff on here. Can it join? The page is trying. Let's see. It's... Oh, yes, indeed, we have got through. Bingo. Denise, how's it going?
Good. Sorry about all that messing around there.
Not to worry, not to worry. As I said, we're contacting each other from the one end of the world to the other. There has to be some sort of hold up. It can't be all that easy.
So can you hear me all right?
I can hear you as clear as day. And as I said, we're going live here on Facebook Live. So you're after doing absolutely, you've brought it to another level, Denise, here today, because we have our diaspora chat every Sunday, but we have never done it on Facebook Live because sometimes it won't let you in, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Well, we didn't do too well with Zoom, but here we are anyway, eventually.
Excellent. Tell us, Denise, you're from Mullingar originally, and you went to Australia. When did you go?
I went to Australia in about 1987, but I lived in Mullingar. I lived in Balnacarrigi for a couple of years first, and then moved into Mullingar when I was about 13. My dad was the sergeant in Balnacarrigi and in Mullingar for a while, and then he went on to be an inspector and superintendent in various other places, but they've always lived in Mullingar since that time. So, yeah.
Very good. I forgot that he was in the Guards now, and but there was a big family of Cullinanes.
There's 7 of us. I'm the eldest, so yeah, the wildest one. So I went the furthest away.
The ship to Australia, and you went there in the 80s, then, was it?
Yeah. I think in 87, I came out. I'm a nurse, and I did my training in Vincent's in Dublin, and then I went out to Australia on a working holiday for 6 months. Then came back to Mullingar, got married, and then both of us went out to Australia then. Well, we actually went to New York first for 6 months, but we had a visa for Australia as well, so went on to Australia. And we're not together anymore, but we've been in Australia now about 34 years, so yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had kids then as well yourself.
Yes, yeah, I have three. So I married Kevin Conlon. They lived there on Auburn Road. There was four boys. I think Brian Conlon, he has the fishing shop there in near Dunn's. Yeah,
That's
so
right,
one of
yeah.
those. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, as I said, we're not together anymore, but we were together for a long time. So yeah, so our families are all quite entwined. I have a brother who lives in Dallas, in Texas, in the US, and a couple of the Conlon lads are there as well. So they're all great friends, and yeah, the families are very, you know, entwined, as I
Brilliant.
said. Yeah.
So you've two kids then, and would they call themselves Irish or Australian?
I think whatever suits them. They have a passport for both. So they have my two girls. I have two girls and a boy, but the two girls actually, one of them went to Ireland for a year when she was about 16, and she went to Loreto for a year and
Right.
stayed with my mum and dad. And
Yeah.
they've both been there quite a lot in Ireland, so they feel very attached to it. And they've both been working in England for a few years, but finally came back to Australia about 2 years ago now. So yeah.
And do they live with you as well, or are they out on their own as well now? They've moved on.
Well, one of them is with me, and her daughter and her partner. They were waiting for him to get a visa, so it took about 2 years. It was a long process and a very expensive process, but he finally got here just before Christmas. So my daughter and her daughter had been here. He's here now as well, but they'll be gone now in another month or so, I'd say. But we're all close around each other, so it's good. They've all been over for Easter dinner, and it's about, I don't know what time, about 9 o'clock at night here or something. So yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
were you working today?
I wasn't. No, I'm trying to work out how I can retire, Ray. So I take time off fairly frequently.
Yeah, well, you have to sort of look forward to getting out of the job. I mean, it's a very hard job, no matter where it is in the world. You trained in Dublin, so I mean, the Irish nurses then that left Ireland at that time were very well qualified and very well accepted all over the world.
Oh, yes, indeed. And like I was, Irish nurses are able to walk straight into a job here, whereas a lot of the other nurses that come from other countries have to do what they call a bridging course. So they have to spend 6 months doing another course through the uni here and everything before they're actually allowed work in Australia. But the Irish qualifications are well recognised, so that's great.
And is
Yeah.
it still a great place to go, Australia, for the new generation? Is there a lot of Irish people coming over there now?
Yeah, I mean it's a great experience, and it's certainly much different from Ireland, and like obviously with the pandemic and everything else that was going on, they say the work isn't so plentiful anymore, and they're talking about there'll be a lot of people unemployed. But certainly from my perspective, like as I said, my daughter's partner, he turned up now before Christmas, but he's already got himself a job, and yeah, like it seems to be going okay, but it's hard to know. As I said, with this pandemic, things are sort of different, and I'm not sure. A lot of Irish people that come out tend to work in construction and labouring
Right.
and things like that. The lads, and obviously, I'm not quite sure how that's going, but it seems to be okay otherwise.
When you got to Australia, was it stone mad over there at that time? I mean, like Melbourne was a great place to go, wasn't it? It was a bit of a melting pot.
Yeah, yeah, and it's still very much a multicultural sort of society. But sure, I'm doing my own bit for the United Nations or whatever here. One of my daughters is married to a fella from Tunisia, and the other one, her partner, is from Ghana. So we're doing our
One is from
best to
the first one is from India. Is that what you said?
no, Tunisia, North
All right.
Africa.
Very, very
Yeah,
good.
so
So
yeah.
it's an international house you have there.
That's it. Yeah. But we fit right in Melbourne.
Brilliant. And tell us, did you cover much of the country? Did you travel much of the country in all the years that you've been there?
Well, when I came out first, I was on a working holiday. So Kevin Conlon came out for a month when I was here, and we travelled around a lot of Australia then.
Yeah.
Since then, I've lived in, like I we lived in Western Australia in Fremantle, just near Perth. We've lived up in Newcastle, just north of Sydney, and then we've been in Melbourne. But for the
Right.
last sort of 5 years or 7 years or so, I'm like I've been a sort of a manager in aged care, and I've travelled around Australia. Like I've worked in Western Australia, I've worked in Darwin, I've worked in Adelaide. I've over the last few years, I've worked all over the place. Kind of travelling as oh, I don't know what you'd call it, a problem solver or something. So when there's been issues in various places, I've gone for maybe a few weeks or a few months or a year or whatever. So I've had a chance to travel all over the place. It's been fantastic. So yeah.
And you have not lost your accent.
No, no, I couldn't even put on an Aussie accent if I tried.
My God, yeah. And would you be working with a lot of Irish people still?
Not so much anymore. No. Yeah, perhaps it's just the circles I'm in now and whatever. There doesn't seem to be as many. Because I'm not really in the general hospitals and stuff very often. I do agency there sometimes to keep my hand in and keep the skills up, but certainly in the aged care, and that I haven't come across them really, no.
Brilliant. And I'd say Anne Dillon is looking in, and Annie Whelan, I'd say you're after really upping the ante now. I mean, we had Anne on last week from Florida having the crack, and then Annie Whelan, I'm not too sure I know her that well. Is she from Mullingar?
She is. She used to live down in Newlands, and her there's a big family of them too, but I can't. Yeah, I'm not sure what any of them are doing. I can't sort of trigger your
Yeah.
memory on it. But Anne used to do a lot of running. She was in like very, very good runner and was in yeah, but she's in the US a long time as well. So
Yeah, they're both in Florida, and she had a
yeah,
great chat with Annie there. And I thought she'd get out the box now last week, but that'll be another session, I'd say.
yeah.
What about do you miss Ireland, or do you still literally connect all the time, or what's the story? What's your connection with home
Of
now?
course, I'll always miss it, and I guess in a way you always call it home, and particularly like my mom and dad are still alive and they're living in Newlands, and I'm the eldest of seven, but we're all around. But we do try. Obviously, we haven't managed it this year with COVID, but we
Yeah,
try and rent a couple of holiday homes down in the Ring of Kerry. And we all, as many of us as possible, including kids and all the rest of it, try and get together once a year for at least a week in sort of July or August. So we've managed that over the last 10 years or so, which has been really great. So
and
um,
is your mother and father then from Kerry or from Mullingar originally, or?
no, my mum is from West Cork. She's from down near Castletown Bear, way out on the Beara Peninsula.
Wow.
My dad, his father was in the Guards as well, so he moved around a bit. He sort of came from Laois, but his parents both kind of originated down in Cork and Kerry, so that sort of seems to be the,
So that's
the
the
draw
connection
for us.
back into Kerry.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
our country is so diverse as well, because it's there's a seaside down there. It's a whole different way of thinking, and when
Yeah,
you look at Ireland, it's always so diverse, and especially all the coast as well.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's just
are
more
you at the,
about trying to house us all, like with 7 kids, and then you bring partners and their kids and everything else, and where does everybody stay? So it's usually quite easy. We go to Ballinskelligs, and there's places there with holiday houses that we can rent that are sort of beside each other, and it just makes the accommodation a bit easier for everybody. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, it's a great chatting to you, and we really appreciate you coming on board. As I said, you've definitely upped the ante to all the rest of the diaspora that is looking in from all over the world.
Yeah.
When did you
I
start
couldn't
what?
show you, sorry, I couldn't show you the scenery like Anne Dillon because it's nighttime and it's dark. But we have had lovely weather today. It's been about 25 degrees for Easter Sunday, so it's been lovely.
Brilliant. And so is it celebrated very much in Australia, Easter Sunday?
It is, yeah, probably not as much from a religious perspective anymore, unfortunately, but definitely it's a big holiday, you know, for families and getting together and all of that sort of thing. And the shops on Good Friday, the shops still do close in Australia, which is like they don't often close or places don't close, but they still do for Good Friday. So yeah.
And you've only joined us recently on Facebook. Is it because Anne Dillon went live one day, or have you been watching in?
Well, I didn't really know about it, and Anne told me about it. So I had watched it a few times before she actually went on. But yeah,
Right.
I'm enjoying it very much.
And you found out about the 12 bongs only recently as well.
Well, that was once I got onto the bus here, and then I saw the bongs, and I was thinking, gosh, that's a bit progressive for Ireland. And then I realised that wasn't the bongs we were talking about. As
Well,
I said,
we were lucky enough. We got this presentation from a fella called Ger Herty, and he has it's called Ger's Pyro Works and Art. And he made this especially for us. He just rove up the other day and dropped this up to us. And I'm just showing it off to everyone because I'm really over the moon with it, because he got the 12 bongs in, he got the bus sessions in, and he got from Mullingar in Mullingar on the
that's
bus.
great, yeah.
So we're having loads of fun here. And look, thanks a million, Denise, and really, really appreciate you coming on board and chatting. And I know we spent a bit of time trying to connect, but it definitely is definitely worth it. So once again, looking forward to seeing you when you come home, and we'll talk to you in the flesh.
All right. Okay, Ray. Thanks very much.
Regards from Mullingar in Mullingar to you in Melbourne.
All right. Thank you, and cheers to everyone on the bus.
Bye.
Right, bye.